Ladies and gentlemen, let's begin with an uncomfortable truth. Relationships are built on trust, and betrayal, whether by a man or a woman, fundamentally shatters that foundation. Now, when a woman cheats, what is the first thing she says? It's not always a direct admission of guilt. In fact, more often than not, it's a rationalization. When a woman cheats, the first words she speaks are not just words. They are shields, carefully constructed to guard her from the weight of her own decision. The human mind, when faced with guilt, seeks refuge in rationalization. It twists reality, bending facts to fit a narrative that preserves self-opinion. Cheating is not an accident. It is a conscious series of choices, and the first words she speaks are the gateway to understanding how she justifies those choices to herself and to you. The moment deception is uncovered, a battle begins, not just between two people, but within the betrayer's own mind. She knows what she has done, but admitting the full weight of her actions means confronting her own moral failing. And so, instead of truth, she gives you justification. She reaches for an explanation that shifts the weight from herself onto you, onto circumstance, onto emotions, onto anything but her own willful betrayal. It is a reflex, a desperate grasp at preserving the illusion of innocence. It wasn't like that. This is often the first line of defense. It wasn't premeditated. It wasn't meaningful. It wasn't really betrayal, at least not in the way you think. The goal of this response is not to bring clarity, but to create doubt. If she can blur the reality of what happened, if she can make you question your own perception, she retains control of the narrative. In a moment of chaos, control is power. You weren't there for me. This is an attack wrapped in self-pity. It reframes her betrayal as a reaction rather than a decision. It implies that she was pushed into infidelity, that her actions were not the result of selfish desire, but of unmet needs. This statement does not take responsibility. It assigns blame. It turns the betrayed into the accused. It forces you to defend yourself instead of demanding accountability from her. It is not an admission of guilt. It is a strategy to escape it. It didn't mean anything. A dangerous statement because it aims to reduce the significance of what has happened. But if it truly meant nothing, why did it happen? Why risk everything for something meaningless? This phrase is a deception within a deception. It attempts to diminish the act by stripping it of importance. But in doing so, it insults the intelligence of the person who was betrayed. No one jeopardizes a relationship for something that carries no weight. The moment someone chooses deception, it already means something. You're overreacting. This is an attempt to shift focus from the betrayal itself to your emotional response. If she can make you feel irrational, if she can make you question your own reaction, then suddenly the conversation is no longer about what she did. It's about how you're handling it. It is a masterstroke of manipulation. It makes the victim defend their pain instead of making the betrayer answer for their choices. I didn't plan for this to happen. Perhaps in some cases the initial encounter wasn't planned, but every action that followed was a decision. Every text sent, every call answered, every meeting arranged. These were not accidents. There were moments, many moments, where a choice could have been made to stop, but she didn't stop. Saying it wasn't planned does not erase the fact that it was chosen. It's not what you think. This phrase is deliberately vague. It provides no real clarity, but it plants the seed of doubt. It invites you to ask, to investigate, to second guess. It is a delay tactic, a way to buy time before the full truth is confronted. The more you question, the more she can maneuver, shaping a version of the story that is less damning. But reality does not bend to perception. The truth is what it is, regardless of how many words are used to distort it. I was drunk. This statement attempts to remove accountability by blaming a substance rather than a person. But alcohol does not create betrayal, it only removes inhibitions. If a person remains faithful when sober but unfaithful when drunk, the desire was always there. The only thing that changed was the loss of self-control. But self-control is a choice, and every choice has consequences. I just wanted to feel something. This phrase reveals more than intended. It admits to seeking something outside the relationship, to feeling dissatisfied in a way that was never communicated openly. It is an excuse disguised as vulnerability. But feelings do not justify betrayal. Needs do not erase responsibility. If there was something lacking, it should have been discussed, not deceived around. It didn't mean I don't love you. Love is not just a feeling. It is action. It is loyalty. It is restraint in the face of temptation. If love is present, betrayal cannot coexist. This statement is an attempt to separate the act from its consequences, but that separation does not exist. If love is real, it protects. If love is true, it does not destroy. To claim love while committing betrayal is to misunderstand the very foundation of what love means. You don't understand, a phrase that silences rather than explains. It assumes that the betrayed party is incapable of grasping the complexity of the situation. It creates an artificial barrier where the betrayer assumes the position of wisdom while the betrayed is left confused, uncertain, questioning. But betrayal is not complex. It is a choice, and choices have consequences. The act itself is simple. The excuses are what make it complicated. I was lonely. Everyone experiences loneliness, but not everyone chooses betrayal. This phrase suggests that loneliness grants permission to abandon integrity. It is an attempt to make cheating seem like a survival mechanism rather than a betrayal of trust. But loneliness is not an excuse. It is a condition that should be addressed within a relationship, not outside of it. Seeking comfort in deception only deepens the very isolation that was feared in the first place. It happened, and now we have to move forward. This is an attempt to bypass accountability. It suggests that dwelling on the betrayal is the real problem, not the act itself. But one cannot move forward without first addressing what has been broken. Healing does not come from avoidance, it comes from truth. Moving forward is not a command to be given by the one who caused the pain. It is a privilege that must be earned. Each of these statements serves a purpose, to justify, to diminish, to redirect, but none of them change the reality of what has occurred. They are words designed to control the narrative, to manipulate perception, to avoid the consequences of choice. Understanding these phrases is not about punishment, it is about clarity. When faced with betrayal, the first words spoken reveal more than just a defense. They reveal the mind of the person who chose to deceive. And in those words, you find the truth they are most desperate to hide. Truth is the foundation upon which all meaningful relationships are built. And when betrayal enters the picture, truth is the first casualty. A person who cheats does not just betray their partner. They betray reality itself. They construct a false world, a carefully curated illusion designed to keep their actions hidden. When confronted, their instinct is not immediate remorse, it is self-preservation. And self-preservation in the absence of integrity manifests as deception. The truth is dangerous to the one who has deceived because it threatens the fragile structure they have created. To admit the full weight of their betrayal means to acknowledge the damage they have caused, and that is a burden few are willing to bear. Lies are not just tools to escape accountability. They are weapons used to reshape perception. If the betrayed cannot see reality for what it is, they can be made to question themselves instead. This is why truth is so difficult to extract from those who have been unfaithful. It is not just hidden, it is actively distorted. When someone is caught in betrayal, their first instinct is rarely to confess. It is to deflect. It is to minimize. It is to manipulate the situation so that the focus shifts away from their actions and onto something else. Anything else. They do not seek resolution, they seek control. If they can dictate the terms of the conversation, they can manage the consequences. They can redefine the betrayal as a misunderstanding, a lapse in judgment, an unfortunate mistake rather than a calculated decision. But deception is not a mistake. It is intentional. It requires effort. It demands secrecy. And when secrecy is discovered, the liar does not abandon their strategy, they double down. Denial is often the first response because the longer they can maintain uncertainty, the more time they have to construct a more believable excuse. If denial is not possible, then the next strategy is justification. If they cannot say it didn't happen, they will argue that it happened for a reason beyond their control. If they cannot erase the truth, they will attempt to reframe it. But truth does not bend to personal comfort. Truth is indifferent to feelings. It exists whether one chooses to face it or not. The person who demands truth in the face of betrayal is the person who refuses to be manipulated. They are the person who values reality over comfort, clarity over illusion, and that is what makes them dangerous to the betrayer. A liar cannot thrive in an environment where truth is non-negotiable. Their entire existence depends on the flexibility of perception. If they can make you doubt, they can continue to deceive. But if they are faced with unwavering demand for honesty, their illusions begin to crumble. Responsibility is not just about admitting what has been done. It is about owning the consequences of those actions. Many will confess to betrayal in a way that removes personal accountability. They will say what they think is necessary to move past the conversation, but they will not fully acknowledge the weight of their decisions. They will apologize, but their apologies will be laced with excuses. They will admit to actions, but they will refuse to admit to intent. They will say, "I made a mistake," rather than "I made a choice." But a mistake is something that happens without awareness. A betrayal is something that happens with full knowledge of its impact. And those who cheat understand that difference, even if they will never say it out loud. A person who is truly remorseful will not avoid the truth. They will not try to control the narrative. They will not make their partner work to uncover details that should have been freely given. The moment someone withholds truth, even after being caught, they are showing that they value their own comfort over the pain they have caused. A person who genuinely wants to repair what has been broken will offer full honesty, not selective fragments designed to minimize their own guilt. Truth is not just about words, it is about actions. It is about whether the person who betrayed is willing to stand in the destruction they have caused without trying to sweep it away. It is about whether they choose to sit in discomfort rather than trying to make the betrayed move on before they are ready. The one who demands truth is the one who refuses to be pacified with half measures. They are the one who understands that without full transparency, there is nothing left to build on. Most people do not lie because they do not know the truth. They lie because they fear what the truth will cost them. A person who has been unfaithful understands that truth exposes them. It removes the layers of justifications they have built for themselves. It leaves them vulnerable, and vulnerability is something they have spent their entire deception avoiding. But real responsibility means standing in that vulnerability and facing the reality of what they have done. It means allowing the betrayed to feel their pain fully rather than rushing them to forgive. It means accepting that trust, once broken, is not something that can be demanded, it is something that must be earned. Demanding truth after betrayal is not about punishing the one who is deceived. It is about refusing to live in a reality shaped by their lies. It is about taking control of one's own perception, about ensuring that the future is not built on the same falsehoods that allowed the betrayal to happen in the first place. The one who refuses to be lied to is the one who values their own dignity above the illusion of comfort. No relationship can survive without truth. Any attempt to repair trust without full honesty is nothing more than a temporary delay of further destruction. Those who try to move forward without full disclosure are not rebuilding. They are sweeping dirt under a rug, hoping it will never be uncovered again. But deception does not disappear. It lingers. It poisons. It waits for the moment to resurface, and when it does, it destroys whatever fragile illusion was left. A liar who is allowed to escape full responsibility will always lie again. A betrayer who is not forced to confront the full consequences of their actions will always find justification to betray again. And the person who tolerates partial truths will always live in the shadow of deception. There is no peace in ignorance. There is no security in illusion. The only path forward is truth, and truth is only valuable when it is absolute. To accept anything less than the full truth is to accept that the betrayal is not truly over. It is to accept that some part of the deception still lingers, hidden beneath unspoken words and half-revealed details. It is to choose comfort over reality, but reality always has a way of making itself known. The choice then is not whether to face the truth. It is only whether one chooses to face it now or later, when it is far too late to do anything about it. The foundation of any relationship is truth. And when betrayal enters, the first response reveals everything about the one who deceived. Their words are not just explanations, they are strategies, crafted to control the narrative, to evade responsibility, to manipulate perception. The one who cheats does not seek truth, they seek escape. And the one who is betrayed is left at a crossroads. Accept the illusion or demand reality. Rationalization is the weapon of the betrayer. Truth is the armor of the betrayed. The moment you accept excuses over accountability, you allow deception to thrive. The moment you tolerate half-truths, you permit further lies. The person who demands full honesty is not cruel. They are the only one standing on solid ground while the other clings to shifting sand. No betrayal is an accident. No deception is meaningless. No excuse erases the fact that a choice was made over and over until the truth was no longer sustainable. The first words spoken after cheating are a test of integrity, of character, of the willingness to take responsibility. And if the first response is not full truth, then trust was never valued to begin with. You do not rebuild from lies. You do not heal from half-truths. You do not move forward without confronting reality in its entirety. The one who demands truth after betrayal is the one who refuses to live in the shadows of deception. And that is the only person who ever truly escapes it.